Okay. Today's topic, we will be talking about the lack of principle by consumers is a breeding ground for bad business practice. Now, we all know, to have a little bit of explanation, we all know how these companies will have a really good thing and it makes them money, but they're not greedy, and it makes them money and it supports the consumer as well, right? Now, these people are they're so greedy that it's literally embarrassing, and the fact that they haven't had their downfall yet is kind of concerning. And I blame YouTubers or content creators, but YouTubers especially. And I feel like when it comes to gaming, this started with Call of Duty, because if you just go back and play some of them older Call of Duties, they really sucked. They were just fun, but the whole MLG meta, all that stuff, they kind of ruined that. And I'm gonna do a different video talking about how content creators ruin games. But I'm just talking about the gaming industry that made me think about this, because the lack of principle is why these games are trash. Okay, for example, you notice how when you play a game, the game is not as good as it could be, and you're probably only gonna play it one time, right? Because these companies, and it's mainly a AAA game, because these companies are not worried about their audience. Their greed is trying to, this idiot with this freaking car. Their greed is trying to make them appeal to everyone. And by doing that, they're watering down their product. I'm a huge God of War fan. So believe me when I say this, if you think that the God of Wars that came out after PS4 was out, God of War 4, 5, and Valhalla, if you think that those games are the best God of War games, you're the problem that I'm talking about. It'd be cool if you just really think that and you actually played the games, but the problem is the people that play them games that think they're the best games are people who haven't played all of them. And now the studio is gonna try to cater to people who really don't even play them games for real. All the people that played them games when they first came out, they're not even playing them right now, because they're playing them for attention. They're playing them for just their channels. And like I said, I'm gonna go in depth with that with a different video. But the way it ties into bad business is these companies are not gonna make products that actually help people and actually make people like them unless everybody likes them. And when that happens, that breeds watered down, lackluster products that only come every 5 years. Look at music. You can tell who really like music and who just want to do music. The reason why a lot of people do music is because it's easy to do. You have musicians and you have content creators who have made hundreds of thousands of dollars telling people that they can do music without knowing how to do music. It's music, but you don't know how to do it. That's why the market's oversaturated, and it leads to bad business, because you'll have somebody who makes a fire beat, but you got 1,000 other people who can literally imitate that. And then not only that, you don't have a real connection with music, so it oversaturates the industry. And then after it gets done oversaturating the industry, it's gonna just destroy the actual product. It's okay to be it's okay to have a lot of people who make music if you actually like the music, if you actually like music. It's clear who makes music for a check, and it's clear who just likes to make music just because it's a part of them. And I'm stuck on the fence. because I feel like it started off more so. I have like a connection. Then I went through a phase of I'm not making no money, so I'm not finna make music. Now I'm thinking back to how I originally was, so that way my product can actually have replayability. Y'all don't replay these songs because the artist's heart is not in it. That's what happened when everything is about money. Going back to gaming, the bad business practice. The bad business practice when it comes to these games is, look at Call of Duty. The game is terrible. Look at 2K. I recently got a PS5. I had the current gen version of 2K25. The current gen version of 2K25 is better than the next gen version of 2K25 because it's strictly basketball. They give you endorsements and they actually give you an incentive to play My Career. You could get a 97 overall in My Career as a point guard if you just stole lives. You can do that, and if you just do that for like a week and a half, you will max out a build. Next gen has more features and it looks prettier, but when it comes to the actual game, it's almost unplayable. Next gen 2K25 is the worst 2K I've ever played in my entire life. And all these people that want to sit up there and brag about how they're on a 5, they're on this, they're on that. Bro, now that I actually have a 5, y'all are gassing that PlayStation 5. Y'all are gassing that PlayStation 5. You're playing games that aren't even that good, but they load faster. You're playing PS4 games that load faster, and the games aren't even that good. Y'all are bragging about the fact you're on current gen, but you're playing a game that's not as good as the last gen counterpart. I'm not lying. Go play it. If you got 2K25, you most likely got the other bundle. So go play it. It's not better than that game. It's not. There's just more to do. And there's more game modes. That don't mean the game is better. But some of y'all don't understand that because a lot of y'all are so worried about aesthetic and fitting in and wanting to make people think that you got something that you'll literally overshadow the whole reason why you bought a 5 in the first place. What is next gen about a PlayStation 5? If I had a capture card and, if I had all these devices, I can record 4K gameplay on my PlayStation 4. But I guess if you have a 5 and don't have all that equipment, it's easier to do. But my point is, what is the actual incentive of getting a console just to play 4 games? And the console isn't even next gen for real. They've been talking about FPS, 60, 30, 20. We've been talking about FPS since PS4, early PS4. Why is that still a conversation? And back to my point about bad business. Sony does the most unthinkable but not really surprising move. Drops a bundle for a console that's $1,000. They drop a console, the base model, for $800 or $700. And it's literally not even that much of an upgrade. Like, it upgrades stuff that's in the distance. And then it don't even come with a disk drive. Y'all allow that stuff. Y'all allow that stuff. That's my whole point of this video. Y'all allow that type of stuff. 2K, next gen 2K25, that game is so unacceptable. And the fact that y'all sit up there and listen to these YouTubers and these content creators and let them gear you into buying the game like that and spending more money. If they literally made it like last gen and just focused on gameplay, they wouldn't even need to make a PS4 version of that game. That game is terrible. I don't care what nobody says. I don't care what content creator disagrees with that. 2K25, the next gen version, is one of the worst basketball games I've ever played. And all the games y'all said were trash, them games wasn't even trash. They just had a skill gap and y'all didn't like that. 2K21 current gen was not bad. The speed boost glitch really wasn't even that unguardable, because you barely ran into people who were like doing it so to the point where they were unguardable. And 2K22, in my opinion, the current gen version of 2K22 is the best 2K they've ever made. No, that's the second best. It'd be 16, then it'd be that one. A lot of people gas 17 because that's when they started to make the game to where it had no defense. So a lot of people who like 2K17, that's where that bull crap started, if you want to be honest. 16 had the most completed. It was the most complete, but like I said, my whole point with 2K, and like, okay, for example, this is the whole point of what I'm saying. 2K 15 was the first, like, I guess next gen 2K I played, because it was like the PS4 had already been out for a year or so, right? When I say that game was terrible, y'all will sit up there and argue left and right that was a good basketball game. How? You have 7 2-point guards. Even before the 7 2-point guards, there was no defense. And somebody tried to tell me that there was. What game did you play? You literally could dribble on the whole team and shoot in their face and green it if you had the right animation. I'll never say a game is good where you need a certain jump shot to catch and shoot in the corner. You gotta do a step back in the corner in the park just so it'll count as 2. Because if you catch and shoot it in the park in the corner, it's gonna be 1 point instead of 2, like how it's supposed to be. Y'all will call a game like that good? And the crazy part is, they didn't fix the fact that game was like that. But the next game, people wanted custom jump shots. They still didn't put them in 2K16. They took them out of 2K15 for some reason. Then the demigod glitch came out where it started with people wanting a custom jump shot. And then somebody figured out how to make your player over 7 foot tall with basically the same moves as a point guard. There was really no reason to make anything other than a 7 foot small forward. But y'all will sit back and say a game like that is good just because you liked it. The only thing good about that game was good in idea, but it wasn't good in execution. 2K16 was decent in execution, but it wasn't good in idea. Because why would you make a game where you green a shot and miss? Why would you make a game where you can't shoot? I mean, you can't catch lobs for real. Why would you make a game like that where you can't catch lobs? You literally, don't lie and say you could, because you really couldn't unless they were wide open. You make a game where everybody's they were 6'7" and bought boost. And then there was a glitch in the game where if you bought a boost but didn't lead a park, the boost would be infinite. So it's like, the stuff that y'all sit up there and talk about, and the stuff that y'all allow from these billion dollar companies, is the reason why it keeps happening. You remember when you played PS3 for the first time, played GTA 4, and it was such an upgrade from San Andreas? It was like, yo, this game is literally too much for the PlayStation 2. You remember when you played PS4, you played 2K15 or 16, you're like, yo, this is too much for a PS3. That is not going on in these newer games, but maybe 4 or 5 games. Every game is like that back then. Every game. New generation was a new generation. PS5, I always say this, The PS4 Pro is like the PS5 is like a PS4 Pro times like maybe 1. So like, let's say the PS4 Pro is a 0.5. A PS5 is like a PS Pro 4.8 or something, if that makes sense. Like, let's say the PS4 Pro is a 0.5, like PlayStation 4.5. The PlayStation 5 is a 4.8. All right, I'm back. I had a little thing, but yeah, these bad business practices and all that type stuff. Like, these games and these companies, they get away with that stuff, and I think it's just garbage. But like I said, they do what they're allowed to do. But I'm gonna end right here on a Bible verse, Romans 5:3-4. Not only so, but we glory in our sufferings, because we know that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance character, and character hope. So you have the information. It's up to you what you do with it. Peace.